Good afternoon, everybody. This is Chris on IMTN Worldwide Radio. Got about 2 minutes before the show starts around the ATL, and this is the last show of the year officially. Yesterday was going to be the last official show, and then today I was going to go to the game, but I decided not to go. I'm going to sell my tickets. And since the tickets keep rising, I'm going to wait till the last minute not the last minute, but I'm going to sell them maybe about an hour before the game, hour and a half. But anyway, I'm here going to do a show, so hopefully you participate. The message board will be open, but you also can call into the show live, 646-652-4479. Remember, it is a live show. So we have about a minute and a half. I'm going to get off of here for right now, but welcome to the show, and hopefully you enjoy. If you're a Hawks fan, definitely tune into the show this afternoon. Talk to y'all in a bit. Good afternoon, everybody. This is Chris on IMTN Worldwide Radio. This is around the ATL Side Notes, but this is a live show, actually. This is the first time I'm doing it live all the way through as far as the radio part. So you can call into the show today, 646-652-4479 if you wish to join in. The message board is open, so if you have a comment, you can type. Maybe you're at work and you can't necessarily participate on the phone. You can at least type in a message or two. Make sure it's clean. This is a family show. But 646-652-4479 is the number. I'll go ahead and throw that across the screen for you real quick. So welcome to the show. Now, This has been a strange week. This has been a strange month, really, overall. Now, today, actually, I was supposed to be going to the Hawks game, and I was going to go, but finally I decided I'm not going to go. I'm going to sell my tickets, mostly because Braun, once he went questionable, I'm like, that's partially the reason I was going to go. But then AD was already out, and just all the things, the Lakers aren't really that good either, and all the stuff that's happening with us. And I'm like, I'm going to be very mad if I take a 2-hour trip on an uncomfortable shuttle and or rent me a car for $300 and then we get beat because Austin Reeves can't be stopped. I'm gonna just be really upset if I made that trip because, again, I don't live in Atlanta. So I decided to sell my ticket. So we're going to see how that works out. But I am going to watch the game, obviously. Now, just that being said, again, the other reason is when I made the investment to do season tickets this year, the anticipation was we're just going to be such a better team from last year. And, the last game I attended was the Celtics game where, Snowman, Jeezy was there, right? And we got blown out on national television right after we beat a really good Milwaukee Bucks team in Milwaukee a day ago, right? So we were really needing to win all these games this week to go into the new year with some kind of oomph and emphasis and fight, and we're not even competitive. So we're going to talk about that a little bit today. Oh, I forgot to hit that person up. Oh, well. But I'm going to watch the game and we'll talk about it. But let's go ahead and get started a little bit. But before I do that, thanks to those who are listening and watching from Twitter or Facebook, New Pack City specifically, I did post on your page there. You can always subscribe to the IMTM Worldwide Radio page on YouTube. You can also follow on Twitter. Here, let's make sure that's scrolling on the screen for y'all. Intellect ATL for me, myself, and my co-host Jordan 23 ATL, Jordan Jackson, my co-host on the show. And like I said, you can also follow on the IMTM Worldwide Radio YouTube channel. I'm going to keep mentioning that as the show continues. You can also follow on Facebook and Instagram under IMTM Worldwide Radio. And of course, you can call into the show 646-652-4479. Let's check, make sure I don't have any callers already. I don't. Good. And also, don't forget to support my man Jamal Price of Price Design Club. He has done some changes to his company overall, but he's somebody I've done business with over a period of time for all of my businesses. He's designed a lot for me. He does great work for what he does charge, because he does charge people, of course. He's a business person. But go hit him up, Price Design Club on Instagram. He designed the latest Around the ATL logo, as you can see, the first Around the ATL shirt, all sports, all Atlanta. You can check it out there. So make sure you hit him up. Make sure you let him know Around the ATL sent you. Go to Price Design Club on Instagram. Now, that all being said, let's go ahead and get into it. And, I haven't done the intro for the Hawks in a while because we haven't done a live show in a while. And again, in 2023, we will be back on the air. At least that's the plan, to do regular shows again. As I look for the intro to, now I can't find it all of a sudden. So see how long it's been since we've done a live show? I know it's on here somewhere. So let's see if I can find it. Let's see. That's not it. Wow, I can't find it all of a sudden. This is very awkward, people. I'm going to find it, though, because I'm determined, and this is just what I have to do sometimes on live radio, obviously. So, wow, this is really awkward, though. I can't find it. So maybe we'll skip it. Nope. Oh, there it is. Oh, there it is. Okay, here we go. I have to keep that theme just for everything that's happened to the Migos, right? So the December Did you see the schedule right there? Let me post it again. There's games on that schedule in December we had no business losing. I'm going to get to them in a second, okay? We're going to get to them. We're going to get to them, all right? Now, so first things first, leadership. We were told after the Indiana Pacers game, a game where the team hadn't played since last Friday, that the reason that team lost was because they had heavy legs. They were tired. And I'm trying to figure out where could that explanation have come from the head coach? How do you develop heavy legs when you haven't played Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday? That's 5 days off. That's what was said. That was what was told to us, okay? And we lost to a team that had just actually played the night before, okay? And then within that schematic, you leave our guys in till the bitter end where 4 minutes left, and that's when you decide to take players out. And then the next night, all of a sudden, we don't have players able to play, which, of course, creates another excuse possibly to where, well, if we lose this game to the Nets, it's because we're not at full strength. Correct? That's what was said. That's what was told to us, right? Now, we did end up losing to the Nets, but barely, right? We almost won. The fight was there. We have a 15-point lead, but at the end, we're fighting to hopefully win and go in the. Bob Rathman always keeps saying this. Over the last few weeks, it's happened a lot. Where he turns to Nick, man, Nick, it looks like we were on our way to an easy victory, and now we're trying to hold on to have a chance to come back. Another excuse in regards to this whole element of, well, the only way the team can win if we're full healthy. When we got beat by the Nets early in December by 4 points, we had the lead too by 4 points. I'll talk about that a little bit later. But after that game, the Nets subsequently benched their whole entire starting lineup plus 3 bench players and then went on to beat Indy that next game, who had all their guys, by the way. Yeah, it was a high-scoring game and all this, but they won the game, right? 135 to 134, they won the game. Down 8 players. But our team, we're the only team in the NBA, supposedly, that can give the excuse of where we're not at full strength. We can't win a game. We're not supposed to win a game. Don't expect to win the game. Meanwhile, the Lakers are going to go in there probably without Bron, definitely without AD. They're going to have a chance to beat us with Dennis Schroeder and Pat Bev and Austin Reeves, whatever his name is. Whatever first name, Bryant. Not the real Kobe Bryant, but you know who I'm talking about. That team could beat us tonight. That's possible. 646-652-4479. So again, just for the fact that Nate has said that, okay, well, let's wait till we get healthy. And every time we've been healthy, we weren't hurt the whole season. And even if we were, that's not an excuse. When are the excuses going to dissipate? Are we trying to win or just kind of win some of the time? Because all these other teams keep winning without starters. Just not us. Now, next thing. Let me check, make sure I don't have any phone calls so far. Not yet. Let me check the chat room because I hadn't done that yet. So let's do that real quick. Again, I scheduled this on the fly. My bad. Sorry. Ask questions or give comments if you got them. I'm live. All right, so here's my first topic. Okay, leadership. Okay, now I just mentioned about leadership and what was told to us by the head coach after that Indiana game, right? I ain't got to the next game yet, but I'm about to. With leadership on the player side of things, there is some sacrifice that comes with that by definition, because sometimes as much as you want to be the guy, you can't be the guy. Now, I talk about Trae Young on the basis of that, and I mentioned this in my article, which I will refer to in a little bit if you hadn't had a chance to read it, in that I don't want Trae to take his gene of making those big shots and making the clutch shots and doing the things that he does to be the superstar that he is. However, there is some give and take in that sometimes. And one thing with Trae, of course, and we've all known this, he wants to pass the ball. He's built to pass the ball. He wants to get 18 assists a night. He's getting 10 right now, despite what we have going on the offensive side of the ball. He's still getting 10 assists a night. If he didn't want to pass the ball, he would never have 10 assists. He wouldn't have 6 assists. He barely would have 3 if he didn't want to pass the ball. That's a whole nother story in itself. But like I said, in my article, I don't want Trae to have ever to take that out of him, or anybody who has that capability of doing it on a regular basis, which is not everybody in the league, to put the team on his shoulders. If nobody else is hitting, okay, now I have to do it. I feel obligated that I have to do it. It's not about trust. It's a matter of, is the ball going in or not at a certain point. There's give and take in that, though. And again, I've said it again. I'll refer to my article. In fact, I'll go ahead and go to it now. Shoot. I don't have to go completely on script here. This is an excerpt from my article. We can't be a one-dimensional team and expect to win, not when we have 2 guards like Trae and Murray. In the third paragraph or so, first of all, this is quote, first of all, I've said from the very start that Trae has to be a better decision maker in certain situations. He can't shoot from half court all the time. Can't have 10 turnovers in a game. That is being selfish. Do I need to repeat that again? But also, the coach can't let him do it either. We'll get into that. I don't want to get too deep. Coach can't let him do it either. So last night, or the night before last, or whatever, okay, we had some situations occur. You can call them that, I guess, right? Sacrifice is needed in a particular situation. Now, during the game against the Nets, Lauren comes on the air. You know how she does. She goes into the huddle to find out what's going on. 646-652-4479. Let's check, make sure I got no callers. Okay, good. She comes on the air and says, guys, I was sitting there in the huddle and Coach Nate was telling Murray that we need to make sure that the ball is moving from side to side, that we're getting the ball to guys, or that we're blah, 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 blah. I said, okay, Nate's saying it. Oh, he said it. There it is. So at that point, anything that happens other than what Nate asked him to make sure is done on the court, which in this case was ISO Joeism. Maybe it was because ISO Joe was actually in the crowd. Might not have been a good idea. We'll get into that a little bit. But at the moment that Nate saw that he wasn't actually doing that, why wasn't Murray pulled then? Why wasn't he pulled? One of the things I've said was that if a player can't understand self-awareness that he could be hurting his team by shooting his team out of a game, whether it be he hitting shots or missing shots, because you can shoot a team out of a game hitting shots. I've told you that. I explained it to you in a couple of episodes ago and also in print. The coach has to do something, because otherwise, if he doesn't, he's complicit with whatever happens as a result of not actually following the instruction of the coach to help the team win, because the goal is to win the doggone game. But he was not removed from the game, and he was allowed to do things that he was doing, where he ended up with 26 shots. And a lot of those shots were ill-timed, decision type shots, and he wasn't hitting them when we had other guys who were open and hitting them. So let me go through this a little bit now. And hopefully this works. We'll see. Because again, I want to show you what I'm talking about here, because obviously nothing else has worked for some people. Okay. Now, also, this goes into Trae being benched or not, or John being benched or not, or whoever it might be. You can't let someone go 0 for 10 from 3. You can't do that. You see what I'm saying? You can't let someone just be a sieve on defense. Nobody's guarding nobody. How? Somebody's scoring 40 points on the other team. We're not going to double him. So that person who's guarding him is not stopping him, obviously. Something has to happen, but it never happens, though. And like I've always said, either Nate isn't telling them or he is telling them and they're not listening, but it can't be both. Can't be both. It can't be. Okay, and that's why I said that in the first paragraph of my article, early December. If it's about pulling the players, why doesn't it actually happen? Because other teams do it. Billy Donovan here, let me show you. I did not get a chance to pull this particular interview, okay, with Billy Donovan. However, I'll just kind of post it up here real quick if I can find it. Let's see. Oh, I know where it's at. It's at the bottom. In November, Billy Donovan sat Zach LaVine. He had played 25 minutes. He was 1 for 14 in shooting. Billy Donovan in that particular press conference said, well, my job is to get the team in the best position to win the game. And in this particular case, LaVine didn't have it. And I had a group in there that did have it. And so I had to do something. Because he wasn't happening. 1 for 14. That shows you it ain't happening. And you know how much Zach LaVine makes, right? Don't got nothing to do with money. Head coach makes a decision. That's what it is. No player can take himself out the game, and no player just walking on the court whenever they want to. It don't work like that. There's a contract that's signed. Here's the head coach. And I'm the professional basketball player. And if the coach asks me to do something, nobody forces you to sign an NBA contract, but that's the deal. There aren't no player coaches. That's the hierarchy. That's it. You see what I'm saying? And so if that's the move that gets the team back into the game, which it did in that particular case, they still ended up losing the game, but he lost by 1 point because I think Vucevic blew it somehow or another. I can't remember how exactly it happened. I didn't get to go through the whole game in that case. That's not my team. But I was going to do a whole article about that in regards to situationals where if you got your best player not hitting on nothing, either that player has to figure out how else to help his team, or he can't be on the floor for a period of time. That's it. There is no ifs, ands, or buts after that. At least it shouldn't be. 646-652-4479. Let me pop the number up there as a reminder that you can call. This is a live show actually today. I usually don't do side notes as full live shows. I'll do streaming sometimes, but today I decided because I have time, because I'm not driving all the way up to Atlanta today, spending $300 on a rental car. I'm not going to do it. Now, I wanted to get that out the way first and foremost. Now, there was bits and pieces where it was some stuff was going good and everything, and this is where it comes back to, well, wait a minute. The Hawks had a 15-point lead in this game. Okay? So what exactly happened? Okay? Now, again, Murray heard the fact that Trey wasn't playing. He was the primary ball handler for that night. Again, he took 26 shots. He hit 10 of them. He was 1 for 4 from 3. All right. So here's the last 2 minutes of that next game. So let's see if this works. I didn't get a chance to practice it, so we'll see if it works. So here's the first part.
He missed it. And the rebound to Okongwu. We're down to 1:55.
Solid defense once again here by the Hawks.
A three-pointer ties it, and this place is rocking.
There you go.
Aaron Holiday!
All right, so Aaron Holiday hits a 3. Right? That's about at the 148 mark to tie the game at 104. You know, Aaron Holiday shoots 43% from 3 this season. Keep that in mind. All right. So let's go to the next play.
DeJounte gets a free look. Yes, you get a but you get your mismatch. To John Collins. Yes.
JC off the glass ties it at 106.
John Collins. What do they say? Get it to John Collins. Why don't we do that all the time? You already know where I come on that end. John Collins through his rookie season till now Let me play it again. Want to hear it again?
DeJounte gets a free look. Yes, you get your mismatch.
John Collins.
Yes.
JC off the glass, ties it away.
Instead of him standing at the three-point line all the time, waiting for someone to pass him the ball like he's Kyle Korver, they should be doing that the whole game, especially in crunch time like that. That was to tie the game again. All right, that was John. 106. Now, here is the next possession around 50-second mark of the fourth quarter. Let's see if I can get this right.
Murray against Claxton. Drives it. Gets in the paint. Can he get it off? Yes, it rolls off. No good. Tip.
Now, nothing necessarily wrong with that shot to an extent, but what I look at is the fact that nobody on our team moved an inch. And that's the whole season right there. The whole season in a nutshell for me is that with that penetration, there was nobody who moved to an empty spot. Nobody cut to the basket. Nobody helped out. He was just down there just whirling dervish or whatnot and hoping it goes in and things of that nature, but nobody really helped either. It's a travesty. But that was the next play right after that. Now we're still down, I believe, 2 points at that point, right? Now, here is the next play, I believe. Let's make sure. Again, I didn't get a chance to practice this, but let's see. Here we go.
29.9 seconds. This one, no.
I saw it. You know what?
So he missed the free throw. Now, people are like, well, blah, 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 blah. My whole thing is it should never have came down to that. We're at home, had a lead again. And I'm going to get to the lead part too. I have a whole breakdown on that, but I ain't got there yet. All right. So he misses a free throw. He hits the second free throw, right? So Kyrie is coming down the court, and this is what happens.
You're giving up two. Don't reach. Solid defense. Tough contested two.
3 seconds. Kyrie for three. Missed it. Rebound Atlanta.
Now, there was about 6 seconds left at that point. Now, I, for whatever reason, had to assume that since no timeout was called and they just came up the court, we didn't have a timeout. And I'm like, in our previous games, we took a timeout and we got a decent shot off. But for whatever reason, in this particular case, that did not happen. Fine. 50-50 on that. Okay. 646-652-4479 is the number. And so far, no callers. And make sure I don't have any comments yet. Don't think so. Make sure you comment if you got a comment. Are you a Hawks fan? If you're watching this, I'm hoping you're a Hawks fan, and share it with other people. I know I didn't advertise this. I know some people are at work or whatnot, but tune in if you're a Hawks fan. This is all for y'all. But the number is down there at the bottom. So the decision was made not to call timeout. All right. So here's what happened right after that.
Hawks are going to play. 4 seconds, three. They're down one. A chance to win it. Murray. Back iron. No good. And Brooklyn survives.
Brooklyn survives. Just the words. I can't imagine what Steve Holman was going through watching the whole fourth quarter unfold. Okay. Now, you see on that play, you had two people that were right there in Murray's eye. Okay. Now, the reason I mentioned Aaron Holiday and his 43% shooting from three, Bogey is also shooting 43% from three. So when you're talking about a last shot in the game, potentially type of deal to win a game, don't you feel a little bit better with Bogey, who has that in his resume of hitting big shots like that, clutch shots like that, and actually has the shot to do it? Wouldn't you want, how much better would you have felt with him having that shot, miss or make? But wouldn't you have been a little bit, just better feeling just overall rather than taking a shot with two people in front of you? Because I'm sorry, Murray is cool and everything, but he ain't Kobe Bryant, he ain't Michael Jordan, he ain't Ray Allen, he's none of those players. And also he shoots 34% from three. Okay. He was 1 for 4 tonight. Now, there is the fourth, right? But also, you saw Big O cutting down the lane. Big O can't hit his free throw. So, if anything, once those two people were right there, remember it was 6 seconds getting the ball from John, coming up the court with about 4 seconds left. Don't tell me you couldn't have made just one pass. You had enough time to get a pass to one person, whether it be Aaron over here who was moving up, he had a shot. Whether it be Bogey, who was right there, he definitely had a shot. And you could see his frustration after the game was over. And like I said, O is running down the court. Now, if you didn't have a play, because that wasn't no play. That was just getting up and hoping for the best type of a deal. That wasn't a ran play. It wasn't. So don't say that. The goal is to win the game. Give your team the best shot to win. Make the sacrifice of having to be the guy right there in that particular instance. The goal is to win the game. Because if it's not that, what are we even doing? Do we want to win, or do we, or as I mentioned in the title, do I need to mention it? Let's see, where is it at? Forgot it just that quick, right? Do you want to win or almost win? We had a 15-point lead in this game, folks. 15-point lead. 15-point lead. 15-point lead. At the 4:23 mark of the second quarter is when we had that 15-point lead. Now, I had someone online, I believe it was Facebook, basically say, well, Chris, that was in the first half we had the lead. And you had a whole second lead, and you had KD and Kyrie. And I'm like, that's all excuses, folks. Because if your team is good enough to have the lead, they're good enough to win the game. Because somehow they figured out how to beat whoever it was on the other team. I don't care who's on the other team at a certain point. I played a rec league game, midnight basketball game, years ago. And I forget the exact circumstances, but we ended up with only 5 players on the team showing up to play. Now, minimum, you had to have at least 5 to even get on the floor. If we had had 4, we would have had to forfeit the game. We were asked if we wanted to forfeit the game anyway, because we were going to be playing 5-on-9 basically. Now, I forget what the quarters were and everything like that, but basically it was saying we're about to die out here tonight. We're going to have to play the whole game, no subs, nothing. We said, no, we're going to do this. We're going to play. Bump that. We're out here. We ain't out here for no exercise. We're going to try to win the game. And we were playing a pretty good team, too. We knew who was on the other team. We said, no, we're going to go down. We're going to go down doggone fighting. But we know how to play basketball, though. You know, we won that game. Straight up won the game. Because if you go into a game believing you can win the game, you give yourself a chance. If you give yourself an excuse, oh, we're missing 3 starters. How many times we got to hear that? Oh, we're missing 3 starters. Oh, we're missing 3 starters. Oh, we're missing 3 starters. I know it's the job to mention that on the broadcast and everything, but it's just an excuse because all the other teams in the league beat us without their starters or their prime players. We lost 3 games in a row at one stretch. Y'all remember that? Houston, Miami, Philly. Butler wasn't playing that game. James Harden and Maxey wasn't playing that one game. And then Houston, who we can't sweep Houston to save our lives. Remember, we got beat by Houston last year, missing more people than they were missing this year when they beat us. And we can't beat them. But all the other teams in the league beats everybody. Shorthanded. All the time. But that don't matter with us, though. Check this out. Before I go further. Here are the games where the Hawks had double-digit leads and either lost the game, okay, or we had double-digit leads and we barely won. Month of October 23rd, we played the Charlotte Hornets. We had a 13-point lead in that game, folks. You know, we lost that game 126-109. We were healthy then. You heard the date, right? 646-652-4479. All right. Let me make sure I switch this over. Make sure y'all follow us on Twitter, Intellect ATL Jordan 23 on Twitter. All right. That was October 26th. 23rd. On October 26th, we played the Pistons. We had a 12-point lead in that game. We won that game 118 to 113. Month of November. November 5th, we played the Pelicans. We had a 13-point lead in that game. We won that game 124 to 121. Do the math. That was November. Was everybody hurt in November too? November 9th, we played the Utah Jazz at home. We had a 10-point lead in that game. We lost that game 125 to 119. I believe I talked about that game in the article that I wrote. And I'll make sure I post that article again. Actually, I guess I can do it right now since I got it pulled up. Here you go. It's right here in the comment section. If I can find it real quick. Uh-oh. My article. Go pull up what I talk about in that particular game and all the other games I talked about in the first couple of weeks of the year or the first couple of months. Go pull that up. I don't got time to go over it again. But we should have won the game. And I explained why. Okay, we should have won the game. All right. Actually, I have that on video as well. I'll pull them up another time. November 10th, the next night, Philly. We had a 20-point lead in that game. We won that game 104-95. November 23rd, the Kings, 23-point lead. Won that game 115 to 106. November 25th, remember this game? Had a 16-point lead. We lost that game 128 to 122. We know primarily why on that one. Two players wanted to take all the shots. They were selfish. Nobody else was going to get involved. They're waving people out the paint, John Collins, waving people out the way. AJ, just everybody get out the way. We're not giving you the ball. I'm going to take 24 shots, and I'm going to take 28 shots. We're going to win this game on our own. 2 against 15 players. That's how we're going to do it. Nate let him do it, too. We lost that game. November 27th against the Heat. Had 11-point lead in that game. We lost that game 106 to 98. Didn't double team Bam not one that time. And all the other foolery that happened in that game. November 28th, Philly, 16-point lead. We lost that game 104 to 101. Also, didn't double team Joel not one damn time. You had Murray guarding Joel one time. Clint was right there. All he had to do is say, I got him, switch. Didn't happen. Or Clint could have just had, let me double him. That didn't happen. Clint just stood there. Joel, easy bucket. Joel scored like 10 points in a row. Maxey, not Maxey, but who's the guy? I can't remember. Shake scored like 10 points in a row at one point. We lost that game, though. That was 3 games in a row. That was November. This month, December 5th, OKC, we had a 14-point lead in that game. We lost that game 121 to 114. Didn't stop shy for nothing. We weren't going to double team. He got 35 points on layups that night. Plus us not really doing anything important on the offensive side as far as let's do this. Just chucking up shots. Go check it out. December 11th against the Bulls, 12-point lead. We won that game 123 to 122. 12-point lead, though. December 19th, the Magic, 13-point lead. Won that game 126 to 125. And, of course, most recently, December 28th against the Nets, had a 15-point lead. Lost that game 108 to 107. We currently are 6-7 when we have a double-digit lead or more. When I say double-digit, I mean 10 points or more. Now, how is that satisfactory to anybody? Because that's not going to get better at this point. We're 6-7? 7 losses just on that. And by the way, I didn't have time. This was all done early this morning. I was very tired. But we have a lot of games where we had leads of less than 10 points, and we still lose the game, of course, too. That really goes into decision-making overall. We have 4-point lead against the Nets early in December. We had a 4-point lead with 5:29 left in that game, and we lost that game. We had the lead. Again, if you're good enough to get a double-digit lead, you're good enough to win the game. I'm sorry, that's just the facts. Now, let's talk about sacrifice again. Now, one of the reasons that the team got the lead on Wednesday in the first place was because they moved without the ball. They were cutting. Okay? When you make it easier for someone to get you the ball, like Murray had 8 assists in that game. Don't forget that. They also gave John the ball in the post. And he was either hitting shots or he was getting fouled. There was one time the person cut, he passed the ball. He only had 1 assist, but they double teamed him and appropriately someone cut. Passed the ball, layup. Then everything stopped. We reverted right back to what we usually do. And again, it doesn't matter who's on the floor. It doesn't matter if Trey's on the floor and it happens. It doesn't matter if Murray's on the floor and it happens. It doesn't matter if Bogey's on the floor and it happens. All of a sudden, people just say, I'm going to just dribble the ball through the shot clock, and then I'm going to put up an oblong shot and hope it goes in. That's what we do. That's what we do. And it happened again. We saw turnovers. We saw bad. We just saw everything just go bad. Just dribbling the shot clock out. If you actually ran an offense that was conducive to actually moving without the ball, it lessens the amount of opportunities that other team has. Because every time we put up a stupid shot, it always seems to happen that the other team grabs the rebound, goes down the other end and scores in the and one and a wide or a wide open 3-point. It always happens to us a lot of time, which is why we always give up those high 3-point percentages, which I'll get into in a little bit. Okay, but for whatever reason, we stopped moving the ball. And everything that we did to get that 15-point lead started happening in the second quarter. That second quarter, they went into halftime. It wasn't a 15-point lead anymore. And then you go into the third quarter, and then you go into the fourth quarter, obviously. Hawks had a 15-point lead at the 4:28 mark, like I said. Team scores 5 points for the rest of that quarter. That's where you don't have an offense. How is that even possible? I don't care about substitutions. It wouldn't matter. It wouldn't change. See, when other teams, they have continuity. They have an identity. They have a plan. They have an ideology, and everybody is in on it. And this is how it has to be. Whether it be like Golden State, Jordan Poole, Curry is gone. Jordan Poole is there, though. They do everything like they do. They passing. They're switching, they're setting screens for shots, they're doing all of those things. I'm gonna get into coaching a little bit because I'm gonna play a clip of Coach Bud in a little bit. Y'all gonna love it. At least some of y'all will who believe in coaching. But we don't do that. We don't do anything. We don't stay with anything that works. And why is that? Like, why is that so apparent or abhorrent, I should say? To keep doing what's successful. To keep doing what's successful. John Collins got the ball first 5 games of this season, and he never saw the ball after that. Unless it was a 3-point shot. Then he would get the ball, and then he feels he has to shoot it because he ain't going to get the ball otherwise, because he sure ain't going to get it in the post because we won't do it. John's getting 9 shots a game. All the other power forwards in the game is getting 15 shots or more. John's regulated to 9, 7, 6 shots a night. And I also brought that out in my article, which I can go over if you want to, but I'm gonna just read. If you follow the page, IMT on Worldwide Radio, or you follow me on Twitter, I will repost all of those shows today. Okay. Now, I don't know if I'm gonna get to play some of these, but I'll just speak them instead because I don't know if all of these are going to work. So, like in the third quarter, the 10:55 mark. Murray pulled up 4-3. He missed it, okay? No biggie to an extent, maybe, kind of, except was it really necessary? But really what also happened was nobody moved. In the fourth quarter, you had that shot, that bogey shot. Nobody moved. 6:22 mark that was. Murray at the 5:22 mark. Kyrie got a layup coming back after Murray turned the ball over because of whatever it was that he was doing there, right? Murray at the 3:29 mark in the fourth quarter. John was posted up. Murray shot it. John's right there, but he decided to shoot it anyway. You see what I'm saying? Most of this has to do with everything about not moving without the ball, but then also John is hitting all this. John is doing stuff. Why wouldn't you want to take advantage of the advantage? But for whatever reason, we want to make it harder for our guys. And one thing I will play, let me see, was I going to do it now? Yeah, let's play it now. Let me show y'all something. Let me show Trae Young real quick. Let's see if I can find it.
Hawks playing without 3 starters tonight. They've shot it at 51%. Young angles in, turns it over.
Nobody moved. Nobody moved from where they were standing at the three-point line area where they were at. No one slid. No one cut. Because nobody's being taught to do it. There has to be some kind of direction to be like, if Trae is doing his thing out here, don't let him get self-trapped because they know y'all are not going to move, which happens all the time. Rick Carlisle was doing that to death on us on Tuesday because he knew what we were going to do. Nothing. Trap Trae. They ain't going to move. Let's dare them to move. They're not going to move. And Trae's going to have to do a somersault to try to get a pass to somebody who's standing still. And that's what he's been doing forever, basically. And in a bit, I'm going to play some old shows to kind of explain that. Because I pulled some old shows up from 4 years ago, okay? Because I want y'all to hear it. I hope it works. So hopefully you can hear it. I didn't get a chance to test it either. But that's what happens most of the time. But here's what we should be doing all of the time with AJ or Bogey or Murray, who's great at mid-range. Watch this.
Is down at the bottom in the league. Griffin, nice adjustment.
We should be doing that 50 times a game. We could be doing that. And we do it once a game, basically. Once, maybe twice. Staggered screen. A couple of weeks ago, there was a high-low. I think it was O, and I think it was Murray who got the layup after the pass. But it gave it to him in the high post. John should be getting high post. John's a great passer. Well, he's a good passer. I don't know about Clint being able to do it necessarily, but we won't even try. We don't have no substance of all what everybody else does in real life. We don't do it here. Getting better shots, easier shots. We don't screen for shoot. We got shooters galore. We know how I know that? Where our final scores are usually. We average 113 points a game. We can score. Can't stop nobody, but we can score, but we should be scoring more. I've been saying that. Trae is trying to get 15 to 18 assists tonight, but we can't do it because nobody will move. People are going to stand behind the three-point line. Look at this. Here, let me show you. Let me see. Is this it?
Bogey. Warren defending. Bogdanovich in the lane. Tough take off the glass. Rebound to Kongwu. Yes.
Oh, got the rebound, but look where everybody else was at. Nobody moved at all. Not a muscle. They were just like, I played way too much basketball. I could never get away with just standing somewhere for a whole possession. There's no way I could do it. It doesn't make sense in my head. My mind would explode if I was just supposed to stand still. Like I turned into salt or something. A pillar of salt. Y'all know the parable, right? What in the world? 646-652-4479. My bad. Okay, good. I was going to say, didn't know if anybody was listening. Hopefully people are listening, maybe not be able to call because you're at work. It's 3:16 in the afternoon. Again, I didn't schedule this show until 2 hours ago. Thanks for all that are watching either on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter or wherever you're looking. And hopefully you share the show with others if you like it. Again, make sure you follow on Intellect ATL or Jordan23 ATL on Twitter. And make sure you follow IMTN Worldwide Radio on the YouTube channel. Please do that. I'll let that stay on there for a little bit. So that's a problem. We don't win games because of that. We've lost a lot of games over 2 years because of that. Look at our record last year, y'all. We didn't win a championship last year, okay? So just a reminder as far as that goes. Now, as I mentioned, Trey is trying to do that, but we don't move. We don't do any of the things that are successful. So if you read my article, you know I mentioned Coach Melvin Hunt. So I'm gonna read an excerpt from the article pertaining to that part, because I want you to be reminded that we actually do have the offense we're supposed to have. We do actually, okay? But I want to read you why we don't have the full offense and why. And the question is, how come it's not being implemented? All right. So let me see if I can find it real quick. Again, I'm trying to find it. I can't barely. Okay, there we go. Let's see. Coaching.collins. Here we go. So I'm trying to find it. Oh, wow. Now I can't find it. This is live radio, y'all. So let me see. I couldn't pull but everything but so fast today. Plus, I was still looking for my tickets and seeing when I should sell them, see how much I can make off of them today. Man, I can't find it. Maybe I should take a commercial break and find it. Because it's, oh, here we go. Okay, here we go. Found it. Whew, that was close. All right, so here we go. So in this article, what is that? In this article, part of it I was talking about the team, and then part of it I talked about coaching, and then part of it I talked about the organization. On the coaching part of it, I said that the coaching staff operates as a team just like the players on the floor. Okay. Now I'm going to skip a little bit. You're going to have to read the article for yourself. But there was a time where Melvin was an interim coach of the Denver Nuggets, right? And he implemented what he wanted to have happen, all right? And one of the things he did was he gave the reins a little bit to the players to be able to make their own decisions. So I'm going to quote Adam Maris of SB Nation now. While some new offensive sets have been put in, the biggest change has come from giving the players a green light to make plays and take shots at their discretion. Hunt has given his players a huge amount of trust to play the right way, and for the most part, the team has responded by sharing the basketball and playing for each other. Some operative words there. Now, here's the rest of that, because, see, that is kind of what we do here and what we've been doing for the last couple of seasons. But here's the kicker. Here's why I get angry. This is why I get mad, because here's the rest of it. And what did I just do? Oh, I'm reading the article. Giving players a huge amount of trust. I'm reading from the article again. Giving players a huge amount of trust to play the right way and make plays. The problem is this team isn't following the second part of that quote. We are not spacing the court, reacting to the defense, cutting, filling spots around the perimeter, and leaving the paint open for dribble penetration and cutting to the basket. We don't do any of those things, y'all. We stand behind the three-point line and we hope for the best. Entire shot clock is dribbled out most of the time, and we're hoping and wishing and praying and hoping. If you're old school, you know that song. It's not a song, but I'm paraphrasing. We don't move. The times where we do it, the times we actually cut to the basket, and every time it happens, it always is said either by Nick or Bob, hey, if you cut to the basket, Trey will find you. Trey is one of the best. Trey is about to pass Magic Johnson for 30 and 10 games. You know how old Trey is? You know how many years Trey has played in the NBA? And he's about to pass Magic. That's how much Trey likes passing the ball. Every night. But most of the time, Trey is trying to do some crazy, wild stuff on the floor because he's trying to get the ball to a standstill person. You see what I'm saying? It's just like the NFL. That wide receiver is moving to a spot. And the quarterback has to throw the ball in anticipation of where that player is going to be. But he can't just sit. You can't just be there. It's the same thing in the NBA. If you're moving to a spot, the quarterback will get you the ball every freaking time. If you move, that's why I always talk about my basketball videos, which I will bring up in the little bit. In the post position, if you get me the ball and you cut, I'm gonna get you the ball. If you cut towards me, I'm gonna put the ball in your bread basket. You're gonna have a layup. If you cut, you beat your man. Ain't nobody gonna come out. They can't, because I'm right there. Or if you move to an open space, I'll get you a wide open 3-pointer too. Miss it or make it is wide open. Aren't wide open shots just a little bit easier to make than double contested shots? Don't you think? Just a little bit? Just a little bit. So let's see how much time I got left here. 36 minutes. So let's go. I got a caller. So let's go ahead and bring the caller on real quick and see if I can still have enough time. Go ahead, caller. Go ahead and tell us your name and where you're calling from, sir. Hey, how you doing, man? Well, first, I want to appreciate you calling in, Cars. I appreciate it very much. So it's been a while since I've done a live show, so I almost, hey, does this work? So second of all, so it's two things. Naturally, as a player, and again, this is where I talk about this playing basketball. Basketball is basketball at a certain point. You should know how you're playing with certain players. Like when I play, I know who my shooters are. So at a certain point, I know I'm not trying to shoot my team out the game. I'm trying to set some screens for my guys. You see what I'm saying? So on the cutting side, part of it is the player either not used to doing it or is this in their head, they just don't do it. But most of it is going to be on the coaching side because this should be natural. And if it's not natural, that means it's not being taught. It's not being practiced. We've had 2 whole off seasons with this team. It's not being practiced because otherwise we would do it every game. AJ does it a little bit based off of his previous coach, Coach K, right? College basketball player. They always cut there, right? But here it is in the NBA, and all of a sudden, well, nobody's cutting, so maybe I shouldn't cut either, right? Because everybody's always standing at the 3, right? So well, okay, and so here it is, and hopefully I have enough time to play the clip from Coach Bud, but you're exactly right, because either it's Coach Nate, or what about the assistant coaches? They're having all these clipboards and iPads, and I keep asking, what are all these guys doing? Because whatever it is, if they are teaching something, it's not translating on the floor. So either they're not teaching it, or the guys ain't listening, but it can't be doggone both. It can't, right? So that's a problem. Because you have one of the best passers we've ever seen only getting 10 assists a night. And that ain't cool to me. It hasn't been cool to me. Easily. And that's why I read the point of my article about Coach Melvin and what he said in regards to having an offense where you're giving a little bit of free reign to the players. But if it ain't working, the coach has to take over. The coach has to say, hey, guys, if you're not going to do this, I can't let you play. And that's the end of it. And so until that starts happening, I don't know why this is so like mind-boggling for everybody to be like, the coach has to take control if the players can't hold themselves self-accountable and actually do it. It's frustrating because it's obvious, right? We all see it. They don't have to worry about it. That's what I'm. It's my biggest point. It's again, the NBA is smart. You again, that's the greatest point. The NBA is smart, and once they catch on to something, they again, Coach Rick Carlisle was daring us to move. They trapped Trey how many times? They dared us to do anything other than what we usually do, and that's why I notated the article that I wrote. We can't be one dimensional when we got both Trey and Murray on the team, and they could do so many different things, but we limit them because we won't do what all the other teams have done to be successful over time. And because Nate has refused to do it, basically saying, we're okay. We're not worried about not being able to close out games. And yeah, I know I'm coaching old school, but it'll work out in the end. That's not satisfactory when we're 6 and 7 in double-digit leads. We did the same. It was amazing, wasn't it? A proper one. We have 24 seconds for a reason. You're hitting everything. You know me. I'm a logical person, but I also play basketball, and most of it is just basketball. And for us to not do the natural things is beyond frustrating because we're losing. It'd be different if we had made the Eastern Conference Finals last year, right? But we lost 39 games. We weren't favored, but one of the two playing games we played, and when we got knocked out unceremoniously in that Miami Heat series, hoping that Kayvon would do something, but he didn't, and I was hurt. We know that. And Spo locked up Trey. And that was it. And we were supposed to fix everything from last year to this year, which is why I made the investment in the thousands that I paid in season tickets this year. And unfortunately, we might be worse. And that ain't cool to me. And it shouldn't be cool to anybody because I want to see the team win, not almost get by and win here and there every now and the blue moon. We're better than that because we have all these leads to prove it. It's very frustrating. It's very frustrating. Nope. We can't waste another year of Trey Young or John and all these guys. Again, last year, Trey did something only one other player in the NBA has ever done in history, and it was wasted because nobody cared because we lost 39 games and basically were eliminated except for the new format. And we can't let that happen again and then let it happen again and then let it happen again because Nate has 2 more years on the contract. And we're just supposed to just let him just run this team into the ground like he did Indiana and Portland and Seattle. I'm just saying. Again, this is we're not experts. We know this. We're not coaches. We're not NBA players by any stretch of the imagination. But basketball is basketball, and you can see through all this stuff. And if we can see through it, go ahead. Oh, I played that clip actually, Cars. I played that clip. Oh yeah, that was horrible. Once I found out we actually had timeouts, I was just like, that was when I started thinking I don't want to really go to this Lakers game at this point now. So yeah, I just it's 3:34. Usually that usually solidifies about an hour and a half. Well, I know that Luca game in Dallas when they came to Atlanta, it was like right at an hour and a half before game time. We found out that was announced. So I'm kind of still waiting a little bit more to sell the tickets at the very bitter end. But how they was reading, his ankle is. Yeah, yeah, I don't think he's really going to do it, but we'll see. You never know. If he plays, he's not going to play the whole game. But the whole principle again is we weren't supposed to be coming to this Laker game like this. We were supposed to be having some fanfare in the house, and nothing is guaranteed. But I don't really want to go. I can't. I'll be very mad to spend $300 on a rental car or uncomfortable shuttle and come all the way up to Atlanta and watch Dennis and Pat Bev beat us. You know what I'm saying? It won't be acceptable to me after these last two losses that were supposed to be wins because we needed to win all three of these games this week. We just had to. We needed to, and we didn't. It's just I just don't know why Wrestler doesn't really look at it from that standpoint alone because that's really the only one that matters at this point. And whether or not you're a paying fan or you're a fan that's watching all the games, we need to have more than what we're having right now with the talent that we really do have that everybody else wants in the NBA. Exactly. Well, man, I'm glad you were able to call in. It's always good to, get to hear from, people I ain't got to meet in real life yet. Appreciate you. Yeah, man. Anytime. And hopefully in 2023, we'll be on live on a regular basis. We'll be working out some of the kinks of not being on live for a while. So, stay tuned for that. Okay. All right, man. Appreciate it. That was my man Cars. Follows me on Twitter. Now I just saw somebody comment. Looks like DJ said you can't hear the caller now. Now I got to figure out. I thought I fixed it this time because the last time I knew what the problem probably was, and it doesn't look like that got fixed because I got two people now telling me y'all didn't hear the caller. So what will have to happen is you'll have to listen to the whole show on the radio. So I'll post that. Make sure you're following me either on the YouTube channel or on Twitter, Intellect ATL, and I'll post the show. You can listen to the caller in that particular case. But now, because I do have a little bit less time than anticipated, I do want to play this clip. It's about 3 minutes. I'm gonna have to delete some of the other stuff that I was going to do. Unfortunately, maybe I'll just do another show around that. But I do want to play this from Coach Bud. Okay, Coach Bud 2015, and there was a reporter talking to him about offense, okay, and ideology and planning and just everything in regards to what coaching is on the offensive side of the ball. I'm going to play it, and then we'll talk about it a little bit, okay?
Hey sports fans, Coach Nick here and welcome to B-Ball Breakdown. I'm excited to have Coach Budenholzer from the Atlanta Hawks to talk about offense. So I was kind of curious, from day one, did you have your offensive philosophy ready to go, blueprinted, mapped out to teach your players starting right off the bat?
I would say the majority of it, yes. I think you kind of learn your players as you go a little bit, and you adjust and tweak it based on their skills and what you see them, doing well and most comfortable. But the main basic principles, we had a very good idea what we wanted to do.
We have been breaking down a lot of your offensive sets recently. And as a triangle offense coach, I'm noticing a lot of triangle influence. How conscious is that, and how, was that like on purpose?
Yeah, I think the triangle was a big influence on me. I think all the success that, Coach Jackson had, and, with the Bulls and with the Lakers, and that was when I was in a little bit of my young formative age, and we were trying to beat those teams and trying to figure out how to stop them. And I think there's a lot of good, solid, fundamental basketball principles that that every coach, every offense could steal from.
Are there particular pieces that you liked the most that you put in when you saw what they were doing?
There's a handful of them. I think it's at the end of the day the spacing and the angles and the ability to get the ball to the post, both to score and to pass, and playing through the elbows. And I just think that a lot of the angles, a lot of the spacing are, like I said, just good, solid, fundamental things.
So when we notice, particularly with pinch post, what I love about what you do with it is instead of passing the ball to pinch post and cutting around, which I think you do a little bit of, you'll have that become a flare screen and off of the curl from the corner. I've never seen Tex Winter or ever anybody do that kind of an action. So did you just sort of evolve that on your own?
Yeah, that's where I think there are some things that are triangle, and there's some other things that are totally different. And all the years in San Antonio and the way the offense evolved there, and observing and learning and being a part of that process, and adding some of our own stuff. So it's kind of a mix of different things. It's by no means just triangle.
Are you a part method or a whole method coach when you're installing these things?
We do both. We kind of teach it in the whole, and then we'll go and break it down in parts and get them to better understand the reads and the different options and the variety that we want to encourage, and how they use the offense. So we do both.
Is it a stress for you when you're shooting your three-point shots that the pass comes from the angle of the low post or from the basket? Because it looks that way to me, where so many of your shots are coming inside out, which obviously makes an easier shot. Is that a focus for your team?
Yeah, I think hopefully we're getting shots a lot of different ways, and we're making it difficult on the defense to know where we're coming from. But I think using the post and the angles that it creates and the things it does to the defense, and their positioning and how they play.
I can't play anymore. Because that is how we should be playing. Shaking my table. Get so mad watching that. I've been waiting to play that forever. So I wanted to make sure I got it in, even though I know I had less time. I had some other stuff I was going to do. Again, I'm going to basically scrap all of that because I'm almost out of time today. So I'll probably do another show with other things I was going to produce. Basically, some of my old shows talking about Hawks games in the past, 2018, 2019 season. So I'll do a complete breakdown on that. But if you just listen to what Coach Bud just said right there, if we were doing 40% of what Coach Bud just said there in that 3-minute bit, we would be undefeated as a team. Maybe not undefeated. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but not really. Right? Let's see what Jordan says. Jordan said, we don't play enough through the elbows or pinch posts at all. Dribble handoffs with Murray getting the ball with a head of steam could be deadly for us. He did it that one time. Remember that one time he drove to the basket and kicked it at a wide open AJ? AJ knocked that in for, a three. We could be doing that every game, and we don't do it. Even if it's not our primary offense, we should mix those principles in. Exactly, Jordan. Jordan also had said earlier, Nate McMillan is displaying unprecedented incompetence. As you said, either the players are not doing what he wants, or they are not doing what he wants or doing what they want with no consequences. Unacceptable either way. That's it. You see what I'm saying? And again, at a certain point, that's the only thing that matters. The coach is the leader. The players have a leader or leaders or captains and stuff like that, but the coach is in charge of everything that happens on the court and off the court. So off the court, what's happening in practice? What's happening when the guys are at home and chilling and stuff? This is their job. They can chill. Ain't no one telling them they can't chill, but Kobe studied film all the time, didn't he? Kobe was at the gym all the time, wasn't he? Because he wanted to be the best. So does that matter or not? Because I want to see the players. I don't care, and I've said this how many times, y'all. The team could go 0-82 every season, but if they played as hard as they can for 48 minutes and played the right way and they still get beat, I can accept that result. What I can't accept is when I can tell in the third quarter that this game is over. When I can tell before halftime that we're going to lose the game because we're not going to pass the ball to anybody, the Houston game. I called it on Twitter. I was like, we're not winning this game, y'all. Trey is waving people out of the post so Murray can ISO. We're not winning this game. There's no way we can win the game. And we had a 16-point lead against Houston. It's mind-boggling where we are right now. Let's see. Jerry Sloan ran the pick and roll for 15 years, but other players had to move too. They had other things within that pick and roll. Pick and roll, whatever y'all want to do. Because you had Hornacek. I mean, I believe my co-host Jordan Jackson mentioned this. You had Hornacek doing stuff. You had screens. You had staggered. You had bounce passes. We can't even do a proper entry pass. Remember on my videos, I sometimes talk about playing basketball myself, and I get mad when people can't give me a proper entry pass in the post. I shouldn't have to jump out 15 feet to go get the ball. I shouldn't have to jump up 15 feet to get the ball either. Here's my hand. If I know who's on my back as far as the player, okay? If it's a bigger player, if I'm having to play the Akeem Olajuwon on the other team, I need to bounce pass down low. But I need it to where it's a bounce pass and I get it in my breadbasket right here. I can protect it. But if I got somebody smaller, give it to me in my left hand or my right hand, depending on what side of the post I'm in, and hit me in my doggone hand. Because now I can operate. Now I can do what I need to do. Now I can see what's going on. I got the ball right here. What's going on? You're not going to get this unless you're fouling me. Right? I'm kicking it out right there. Wide open three. Right? Or, okay, well, if you cutting, I'm going to give you the ball right here. Boom, there you are. Lay it up. Or you get fouled and we got another shot. We don't do any of that, though, for some reason, even though we got John Collins, who can get us 20 and 10 every night if we gave him the ball, but we don't want to give him the ball. But every 5 games, maybe, sometimes. It's not enough. It's not enough. Shout out to B-Ball Breakdown, by the way, for that interview of Coach Bud from 2015. So I wonder if I have enough time to play this. No, I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait and do this another show. I got 13 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and check the tickets. And actually, I'll do that now. Let's see how much my tickets are going for now in my section. They keep going up, actually, surprisingly. And I guess it's because as it's getting closer and closer to the game, people are, now scrambling a little bit, I guess, They're up to 340 now. A ticket in my section. It's 347. I'm gonna wait till after 4 o'clock. I might sell them at that point. We'll see. They might go up a lot more. I do want to mention one other thing, though. I'm not going to play it, but I did want to mention something else. Because do you want to win or do you want to just kind of win? You want to just be okay, Again, how many times do we have to hear the disheartened Bob Rathbun say we had this game wrapped up and now here we are fighting for our lives? Don't you think the players are thinking that too a little bit? And the players really do need to be coached and they want to be coached. But a win is a win is a win. It's not really a win. And at what point is that not enough for y'all? Are we just going to play 500 ball for the rest of Trey's career? You see what I'm saying? I mean, at a certain point, that's where we are right now. We have to have a direction. We have to have an identity. We have to have an ideology. This is basketball. That's it. How many times are we hearing in Neek and Vince, get the ball to John? Why can't we get the ball to John? Where he wants the ball. All the other players in NBA history can always get the ball where they want the ball, but John can't. And it's a problem that he can't. It's a problem. Oh, he should be able to. No. Siakam gets the ball where he wants the ball, and he goes to operate. All the other guys do. Randall, everybody, except for John, though. And John only can get 6 shots a game. But we're going to give Murray 24 shots, even though he might shoot 4 for 24, 6 for 24, whatever it is. It's better for him to shoot 34%, 33%, 28%, and you see John go 6 for 7. But 6 for 7 is not a good thing, though. Make that make logical sense to me in a basketball game that you're trying to win. You can't do that. Again, what is the preference at this point of keeping someone who's self-admitted to you he's behind in the times? He doesn't care that we can't close out games. He said himself it's not a problem. He don't think it's an issue. At the time when he said that, we were 31 games into the season. And he said we're figuring it out. That's what he said. He said that. He gave us an excuse of why we lost the game on Tuesday against Indiana, talking about we tired, we got heavy legs, but we hadn't played since Friday. That coach said that to us. He told us that. Players can't bench themselves, folks. That's the accountability. If the player isn't accountable to himself, shooting the team out, doing whatever, the coach has to do something about it. And if the coach isn't willing to do something about it, that means he doesn't care that it's happening and it's going to continue to happen. And that's it. Because nothing else is going to change. Nothing else can change. Players ain't changing it. They're not the coach. Players are only doing what they're doing. They're just out there fighting for their lives. And it's not cool to see anymore, y'all. It's not cool to see this anymore. It's not cool to see this anymore with my 9 minutes left on the show. So as I get ready to wrap this up, appreciate those who participated on the chat line, Jordan Jackson, Mr. DJ, I think it was, a couple other people I saw in there. Sorry about not being able to hear Mr. Cars, I can't pronounce his name, it's Cars or Carse, on Twitter that he came in there. By the way, since he called in, he has the opportunity to win a ticket going to a Hawks game or College Park Skyhawks, or a shirt from I remember the new name. He just changed it, so I gotta see if I can start remembering it now. Where is he at? Price Design Club. You get a shirt. So he's in the running. Somebody's gonna win that. Don't know who just yet. But appreciate the participation as far as that goes, as always. And of course, make sure you follow on Twitter, Intellect ATL. My co-host Jordan Jackson, Jordan23 ATL. Make sure you follow the IMTN Worldwide Radio YouTube channel. Okay, make sure you subscribe, hit the button. Okay, and of course you can follow on Instagram and Facebook for IMTN Worldwide Radio. Make sure you do that. Appreciate that. Let's see how many minutes I got left. Let me see if I can wrap this up. I hate that I couldn't play the other stuff, but I rather defer to my callers when I do get them in, so it's always good stuff there. But I have a lot, so I'm going to keep this for another time. But one thing I will play, and this is just to prove the point again. Y'all remember the movie Hoosiers? I love playing this clip. Let's watch this, because this is what's supposed to be happening when things aren't going right, when you have Bogey doing the ISO stuff, when you have Murray doing ISO stuff, and, you know, not trying to get the ball to other people if the coach asks them to. This is what's supposed to happen right here.
Set it up, set it up. Ollie, going for Ray. Now, move. Come on.
Where are you going?
In the game.
Sit down.
What do you mean? We gotta have 5 out there.
Sit down. Sit. Coach, need one more. My team's on the floor. Okay. What are you trying to do?
See, that's an actual consequence for not actually doing what was instructed by the head coach. Because the head coach said,
How many times are we going to pass before we shoot? How many? 4. 4!
4 times. You're going to pass the ball 4 times before you put a shot up. So whatever implementation you have to do to figure that out, that's what has to happen. And if we were to do that to get better shots, we would win all these games that we're losing. We're 6 and 7 in games where we have a 10-point lead or more, guys. That's not a good thing. That's not positive. We lost 39 games last year. Okay? Primarily because we would run stuff that's unexecutable. We make it harder for our guys. Why would you do that? We could set screens for our shooters. We could post up more. We could move without the ball and find those empty spaces. We don't just standing there doesn't do anybody any good. Just standing there doesn't do anybody good. And that shows it right there that something can be done. To learn that lesson, your playing time has to get pulled down. You're not playing this many minutes anymore. Because if that's the only way you can learn, that's the only way we can do it. Win or lose, that's what you got to do. And maybe you will stay on the floor longer if you start doing those things because the coach says this is what we need to do to win. But if we actually had to implement it, it'd be easier. If it was natural, here over the half court line, I'm standing right here. It's time for me to move. I'm moving. Because that's what Coach Bud did. Our team won 60 games with that squad. Think about that. Individually, those guys don't hurt nobody on no team. But together, they won 60 games. Moving without the basketball. Cutting, diving, rebound, block. Again, I didn't get a chance to do the defensive side of the ball. I'm going to do it. But bump the offense if we would just block out as a team, if we would just switch properly as a team, if we would just rotate better as a team, if we would stop over helping, if we would get back on defense as a team, we would keep these leads. But we don't do any of that. And all you got to do is go check out the box score and see where are the points in the paint that we give up. Where are the fast break points that we give up? Where are the second chance points that we give up? What is the 3-point percentage of the team when the team comes and plays us as opposed to what they actually shoot in real freaking life? Oh, you're in a slump. Play them Hawks, man. They're gonna give it. They're gonna give it up. They're gonna give it up. Who's guarding Buddy Hield the other night? He was 6 for 7 from 3. You know he's a 40% plus 3-point shooter. Does it matter? Apparently not. That's how you know, y'all. That's how you know. I didn't get a chance to talk about defense. There's 2 minutes left. I'm gonna go ahead and sign off right now. Thanks for everybody pitching in, listening, watching the show. Again, I know a lot of y'all are at work or about to get off of work. I know I didn't advertise this show. I was going to do a show yesterday, and the plan was I was going to do a live show in Atlanta today, but I decided I didn't want to go to the Laker game, so I'm selling my ticket. So I decided I'll do a show today, and here we are. So again, stay tuned in 2023 for Around the ATL on IMTN Worldwide Radio. We're going to have a lot of shows next year. We're going to have Bob Rathman again and Steve Holman on again as guests. We have some other guests that I'm planning to have on the show. I'm excited about that. You know, Steve and Bob have been on the show many times, 4 years. So I'm excited about getting them back on the show in the new year. So look out for that. And just make sure y'all keep watching and listening. Again, we're gonna be doing some new things this year coming up. I'm excited. But until next time, y'all take care. This is Chris on IMTN Worldwide Radio, and this is Around the ATL. Y'all be safe. Y'all stay inside the house. Doggone it, it's some crazy people out there. Peace.